Hi, Josh Carr here. So if you've ever worked with indirect functions, you've probably had problems where people messed the worksheets up on you. This is an interesting topic, I think, if you've messed with indirects. If you're totally new for indirects, this might be a little over your head, but still kind of a neat little example. So let's say we have three sheets, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. Sheet 2 has a value of 45 in C4. Sheet 3 has a value of 56. Sheet 4 has a value of 78. Now, usually if you're adding up three sheets, you'd do something like this. C2, C4, sheet 2, C4, sheet 3, C4, sheet 4, C4, and you'd add up three sheets. And life would be good, and it would work, and you'd have no complaints. The problem, of course, is that's annoying. You have to click on each sheet. It takes time. Who wants to do that? Also, it doesn't give you a lot of variation. So what a lot of people do is they use indirect functions. They do an indirect and they say, I'm going to type in the name of the sheet. I'm going to throw an exclamation point at the end. I'm going to go to cell D7 where I wrote C4, and now it will pull up sheet 4 C4 that happens to be 78. And then, I'll do like a little sum function to add up those values. And there you go. Right? You got your three values, you've got 179. What's nice about this too is you could vary what you're pulling. So instead of going sheet 4, sheet 3, sheet 2, you could do sheet 2, pardon me, sheet 3, sheet 4. And that would work and life would be good. That's all fine and good. And that's a great use of an indirect, right? You indirectly go to a location, you vary the sheet name. The problem is, of course, what happens if instead of this, someone gets fancy and says, hey, I know I used to call this sheet 2, call it gold. If I change its name to gold, that's going to break because you wrote sheet 2. Now, of course, I could then write the word gold here, and it would work, but that would be annoying. Whereas if I directly linked to it, it's smart enough to know that you changed sheet 2 to gold, and then it changes it, right? So if you link to it directly, the changing name of the sheet is not a problem. If you do an indirect where you're typing in the name of the sheet, it doesn't know that you renamed sheet 2 gold because you were just typing in the name. How do we get around this? How do we make it so that you could type in gold and it would know? Like if this was changed to gold, how do you get that to just change to gold? There's a way to do it. I'll show you. Step 1. On each of these sheets, on this portfolio sheet, I have a link to sheet 2A1, sheet 3A1, sheet 4A1. This is just literally a link to somewhere on that sheet. Doesn't matter where you're linking, it just matters that you linked. I then use the formula text function to take that link and to write it out longhand. So in other words, the link, sheet 2A1, becomes the words, sheet 2A1. I measure the length using a length function. I do a mid function to say, go to sheet 2A1, start at the third position, and then ended at 11 minus 5. In other words, if you know where you're starting and you know where you're ending, rip out the words sheet 2. I'm still going to C4, and I still do an indirect. In this case, sheet 2, exclamation point C4. The reason this works better now is if someone comes along and changes this from calling it sheet 2 to the word gold, then what was going to sheet 2A1 is now going to gold A1, which means it writes it out longhand as gold A1, which means now instead of 11 characters, it's 9, which means now this little function rips out the word gold from where I wrote out gold exclamation point A1, which means the indirect still works. This is more robust. People can change these names to silver and bronze, and this will add up gold, silver, bronze. Whereas over here, Doing it the wrong way, if you start changing this to gold, silver, bronze, but you typed in sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4 manually, it's not going to work. Again, I could fix this by typing in gold, but that's an extra step. The only weird thing about this is if instead of someone typing in gold, silver, bronze, you type in, I don't know, silver towers, then when you do it, it's going to throw some single quotes around it. It mechanically is still going to work. It's just the quotes are a way of saying to Excel, there's a space between that, right? Those quotes are going to appear as soon as you have the space there. If you get rid of the space, then the quotes go away. That's the only oddity of it, right? So, which again, I don't think is the end of the world. Yeah, so that's how you do an indirect function and still maintain the linkage. So if people start to change the names of the worksheets, it doesn't break. This is great if you're trying to build a portfolio model and you want to maintain robustness. So as people start to change the names of the sheets, it doesn't blow up on you. And having worked on a number of fund modeling projects where you want to put in demo worksheets, like placeholder worksheets, which will be changed when names change, this is a way to handle that problem. Excellent. If this is the sort of stuff that fills you with joy and happiness, there's my contact info. You can also go to my website to get more information about this. Obviously, subscribing is probably a good idea because then you can get more Excel fun things to do as you travel through life. Thanks again, and thanks for watching.